The following is a paid program and does not necessarily reflect the opinions of the staff or management of Visionary Related Entertainment.
Aloha and welcome to Maui Nonprofit Notes. Now in our 10th year of broadcasting, each week we continue talking story with Maui's nonprofit executive directors and staff to find out how they're working to support those with needs within our community. Maui Nonprofit Notes is generously sponsored by Pacific Source. If you're building or remodeling a home, please stop by Pacific Source's cabinet and appliance showroom located in the Waikapu Bayshard. I'm Susie Tiemann, Executive Director of Lokahi Pacific, and your host for Maui Nonprofit Notes. During this hour, we're going to share some of the experiences of our nonprofit agencies and just how they're changing lives, changing communities, and creating miracles of hope for those with needs. Today, we're going to start off the show talking about Red Cross. It's Red Cross Month, right?
It is Red Cross Month.
Yay!
Yes,
hey, we're timely.
I know. We always make sure, don't we?
Well, sometimes.
Yeah.
Sometimes we're good at that. Sometimes we miss it.
We're pretty good.
But we're talking with Michelle Blair, who is the Maui County...
The director for the Red Cross in Maui County.
There we go.
Yeah.
And she's brought a special guest with her.
I have Mary Tamashiro here with me. Mary was our volunteer of the year last year, but I just found her in the parking lot and drug her in.
Isn't it amazing
today.
how sometimes that works out?
Yeah.
Last year
it's good.
she was under the weather, I think, when we did the show and couldn't be on, and
Right.
so you just kind of plotted and planned to get her.
So this year our
by.
volunteer of the year is Aloha Smith. Aloha lives out in Kaupo, and she's an amazing lady. She does a wonderful job as a volunteer, and we're all very close. We all work very closely together.
That's a
so.
familiar name.
Aloha Smith. Aloha has been around forever and ever, and she does so many good things for the community.
Is she a farmer?
Mhm.
Yeah?
Mhm.
Wonder if she took my class like you did, Mary.
Could be.
Interesting.
Could be.
Well, I mean, Aloha Smith doesn't sound like the everyday name that you would
Right.
remember.
Aloha Lani. She goes
Cool.
by Aloha Lani. Yes.
Interesting. So, how was your year as a volunteer of the year? Anything special happen for you?
Just a lot of action out there.
We did have a lot of action this past year
Yeah.
for you guys, right?
A lot of
Yeah,
action.
Mary works as our logistics lead. So any of the stuff that needs to get mobilized when we mobilize for a response falls under Mary's direction. So that means getting cots out, getting blankets out, maintaining that inventory and supply in case we need it.
So you have a big warehouse space someplace for
Oh,
all
I
these
really
things?
would like it. Would you like to get us some warehouse space?
Oh, what
we
do you-
really need some good
We really
disaster
do.
storage space.
What
yeah.
where it's stored in people's houses, garages?
No,
What?
no. What we have right now, we do still have one donated storage unit from a local company, but other than that, we've been securing containers, old shipping containers,
Oh.
and placing those strategically throughout the county. It comes with a lot of repairs, right, that need to be
Right.
made and all of that. But that's what we're doing right now. So. Right now, we've got supplies in Wailuku, and we've got supplies on the west side. We've got some supplies in Hana. We've got a new shipping container that we just placed in Lanai, and then we've got one that we just placed out in Kaupo to take care of people on that backside if that road closes. So we're still working to get those brought up so that they're secure.
So-
And then we can put
But you've got to
supplies
find
in.
land for those. Do people
Typically, we
kinda-
do have to find land for
Are
that.
people okay
yeah.
with? Can we put a container here?
It's a nice donation. It's
Yeah.
a nice donation that we get from somebody in the community. And I've got other offers out on the table, but one at a time.
Gotcha.
In this case, we've got two going at one time, so that's
Cool.
enough. Yeah.
Well, that's great. Then
Yeah.
you're not hauling all over the county, and wasting time trying to get stuff to the location.
It's just simply not possible, like even with the storms that we had last summer, the mayor was saying he thought that, we were going to have 20 to 25-foot waves that were going to inundate the highway. And so we knew right away there wasn't going to be a lot of driving back and forth to deliver things if that west side gets cut off.
Right.
Yeah.
I drove out that way the other day. It must be the first time in, months, if not a year. And they've got all that barricade stuff up against the ocean now. The last couple of years, there was always all these flashing signs saying, one lane traffic and all this other stuff. But it's all done now, so it looks you know, it looks interesting and it looks safe, but it takes away from the look of the ocean. You can't see the waves out there when they're moderate.
Yeah.
And
Gotta
it's,
wait for the king tide, Susie. Then you can or the monster surf, or one
Yeah.
of those, right?
but you know, you don't realize that you miss that. That's what you expect to see when you look. If you're going into Lahaina and look to the left, and now all you see is this cement wall.
Yeah.
It's
Thankfully,
kinda
it's
too
just
bad.
for a stretch. The
That's
rest of
true.
it, you know, you come around that corner, it's still beautiful blue.
Yeah. Wow. So this year, have they done any predictions for this hurricane season that's coming up?
Interesting, you know, and this is Red Cross talk. This isn't Weather Service or
Right.
anything. But in past years, Hawaii, the state of Hawaii, actually the whole Pacific Island region, which includes Hawaii, Guam, Saipan, Mariana Islands, we've been in a moderate risk category, and after this past year that we have had our risk category upgraded. So we are considered high risk per the Red Cross, which really only means, I was hoping it would mean additional staff. But
Additional staff, additional money, maybe?
that didn't happen. So what it does mean, though, is that we might get more stuff. So like right now on island, you know, honestly, we have less than 200 cots for the 3 islands in Maui County. So if a cot is important to you and you're going to evacuate, be sure you buy one or bring
it
something,
with you.
because
Yeah.
that's just not a luxury item that'll be out there. But I do hope to have more cots inbound. And don't think that's all there is, because we
Right.
still have FEMA containers positioned throughout the state, and they have some cots in there too.
Air mattresses, stuff like that.
That would
People
be
should bring with
great.
them if
Yeah.
they come to a center.
Yeah, everybody in a hurricane evacuation center, people are given 10 square feet of space. And just to kind of put that in proportion with what you might get in a normal congregate care or long-term shelter, you only get 40 square feet of space. But 10 square feet of space, I mean, that's not a lot. And
2 by 5.
Right, it's supposed to be for yourself, your physical person, and your stuff, you know. And then, of course, you know, the messaging that goes out is you want 2 weeks, 14 days minimum of supplies, and we're talking a gallon of water per person per day, medication, items for sanitation.
Wait a minute. For somebody like
Yeah.
Gary and I, that's just us. I mean, each one of us, not together. That's,
Well,
each one of
yeah,
us is
so
5 by 10.
that's where we're at, and you
5
know,
by 2.
it,
Hello.
the idea being that we have limited
Sure.
space that's been deemed safe
we're
for,
making
for
fun
high
of it, but
winds,
it's
right?
real.
Yeah, and the truth is that if we've got, you know, a high number of our people that are coming into these facilities, we may have less than 10 square feet of space. It might just be come in, let's get cozy, let's squish together and hold on together, and
Sit around campfire
we always
style.
say, yeah, sing kumbaya and just, you know, hope for the best at the end of the day, right?
Oh, wow.
Or the end of the night, because disaster likes the night. Yeah.
I guess the thing that we always fail to think about in times like that is at least you're in a safe place.
Yeah.
You know, how much space do you need when you're trying to be safe?
And ideally, and I think what we'll hear more and more with messaging is shelter in place. You know, Red Cross shelters are the shelter of last resort for those people that seriously have no place else to go. Then come on to Red Cross. But ideally, have your supplies at home and have a plan at home to where you'll hunker down together and get through it. That's the best way
Yeah.
to think about it, I think.
Realistically, and this may be more of a question for the weather people than Red Cross, but living on the hillside, like up in Kula, I mean, are we at any greater risk than anybody else, or less risk because we are up higher? But then it's wind, so
Yeah, that's a really, really good question, actually, Susie, because a lot of the risk that people in the lower lying areas have is the coastal inundation, right? Those waves or the water mass just moves on shore. And you're not going to have that so much up country, although as it moves on shore, you're going to be looking at power outages, probably the water being brought down or turned off, you know, temporarily to protect it. And then Yeah, your phone rang, and that just like threw me all off track.
We're
here.
all moving.
It's like, what are we even talking about
Yes.
now? Right.
No, but I always think
Yeah, but
that
up country,
yeah.
downhill from the mountains, that's where the winds gust. That's where they tunnel. Remember that Valentine storm we had a few years back? And nobody made a big deal about it on the front side, but boy, it just like kicked, up country and ripped up all those trees and all
Right,
of that.
right.
But that's that downdraft, so you are going to feel those higher winds when you're up country. So you want to make sure that you're in a safe place. So if a tree falls over, if power lines go down, consider those things as you're selecting that safe space to hunker down.
Wonder if I have to build a retaining wall at my house. Wonder if there's an area kind of behind it that I could dig out or have ready to just pull out and cover with something, and Scooter and I just hide there.
Well, if you have a safe shelter, can I come stay at your house? I'll bring the leadership team because it's always a challenge. We don't have that here, right?
Yeah,
We
right.
see on the mainland, everybody get below ground, right? And they're going to go into their storm shelters, but we really don't have that. And so when that Category 5 was sitting off of our shores last summer, that was something, and I'm awfully glad it decided to pull away.
Right. I remember talking to somebody who lived on a boat in Lahaina
Yeah.
during all of this, and she was fairly new to it. Her husband is the ocean guy, and he kept saying, "We just got to go out to a certain place." And she says, "Why are we going out? I want off the boat." He says, "You're safer on the boat, out a certain distance. That's what they're asking people to do."
Right, that's true.
And so they rode it out away from shore. And she said, "That's a scary thing, though, when you know what's going on around you, and you're in this little box in the ocean."
I imagine that would be it's very scary no matter where you are with a storm like that. Those storms are intense.
Yeah.
So, the not to scare everybody, not to be afraid, but more as, an idea, hey, just be prepared. Think
Right.
about it. Think it through. Think about, like, if you get separated from family members or loved ones, how are you going to reconnect on the other side? Remember that, if phone lines go down, it's going to be difficult. You and I may not be able to call each other, but I may be able to call my daughter in California, and then my daughter in California can relay information back, maybe provide me with some situational updates. Hard to get information, and yet so necessary to have information to make the best decisions, the right decisions to keep you and your family and your pets
Right.
safe, right?
Interesting. Yeah, we always say we're ready, but are we?
No.
No,
Yeah.
we're really not.
We're not.
But everything that you do to prepare is one thing that you will be ready to handle on the other side of it.
And I think people say, "Well, we've prepared so often and it never happened, so I'm not going to do it anymore." I mean,
Okay.
that's the worst thing that you
Yeah.
can do, right?
People do become complacent. They think, oh, it's never happened. I talked to a woman out in Kihei, and I've probably talked about this with you before, but she, really, jumped at me kind of, like for 40 years you guys have been saying evacuate, and I live in Kihei. It's never happened. I don't believe it's ever going to happen. So guess what? I'm not going to evacuate if you say, and it's like, okay, that's your decision to make.
Right.
And hopefully that person or that a person with that kind of mindset isn't responsible for other people.
Right,
So that
right,
they're
yeah.
holding other people back or children.
I
or
wouldn't
people.
want to be her daughter.
Yeah, that might not.
I'm sorry. That's
No.
that's
But
reality.
it
Because
is a pain, and it is
Yeah.
difficult to have to, pull everything together and evacuate. We're doing the same thing too. Plus, we're getting ready for a response to help everybody. So it's
Right.
actually a lot more work. And then at the end of the day, when nothing comes, there is that element of, we did all this for nothing. But you know what? We didn't do it for nothing. It was an exercise. We learned from it.
Right.
Maybe next year I won't, or this coming summer, we're already here, I won't have to take a whole truckload of stuff with me. Maybe I'll take my own advice and start to limit down to,
Right. Well, but I look at it the other way, and I think every time that you prepare for it, you learn something new,
It's true.
You do.
and
It's
that
true.
when it actually happens, you're going to be just doing it automatically.
Yeah.
It's by rote because it's ingrained.
An important thing to really think about is what is it that you absolutely need, you absolutely have to have for your day-to-day life. For me, my contact lenses. If I don't have my contact lenses, I am not going to see anything. I'm not going to be able to communicate. I'm just going to have, so I need to make sure I've got those supplies. But Please don't have the thought process or the mindset that somebody's going to swoop in and rescue you or take care of you until supplies can be inbound. If our harbors are down, if our airports are turned down or out of service, we can't receive any incoming shipments of anything
Right.
and we need supplies to come in before those repairs can be made. So we could be looking at a really timely process. And I think anybody who thinks that, you know what, that's just a bunch of hype and, you know, they'll have what I need. No, there's a limited food supply on island, limited supplies in all. And
Well, yeah,
best to have what you need to get by.
Last week we had the food bank on, and they were talking about empty shelves, right?
Yes.
And how with the government shutdown and all the extra people who were coming in to get food, and it's like they were having trouble getting food because apparently Matson was having problems with some of their ships coming in. They had ships that were down and delayed. You know, and you walk in a grocery store and there was some shelves that were empty. One lady was talking about milk that she couldn't get for several days, and you think, well, my gosh, that's just an average day. What happens when it's gone, period? And then I thought the other day they were talking in the news about the flooding in Nebraska. And Offutt Air Force Base is one of the big bases, strategic bases there, and how much mud ended up on the runways. They couldn't take off or land. And I'm thinking, we've got this poor little runway out here that's our lifeline, and it's right there at the ocean. What would it take to make that unusable for months?
Not much.
You know?
Yeah, and I think that's a focus of planning for airports and probably for the carriers
Right.
also. And you know, we all have to kind of focus on our piece,
Right.
But they're aware of that. They know
Yeah.
that. We know that there could be debris on the roads. Highways is making their plans for how we're going to clear debris so that we can get roads reopened and move.
Right. And we hope
about
that
as
they're
we need to.
yeah, we hope that they're prepared and ready to do that. But still, we have to think about for us that time frame.
Yeah. So,
You know, so-
something like that happens. You're either going to be in a position where you have what you need and you don't have to rely so much on those outside resources, or you're going to be completely dependent and probably very frustrated. And, you know, there's already a spin that comes with having an emergency, and it just makes it spin even
Right.
faster when you don't have what you need.
Speaking of spinning, we've got to spin a commercial here real
Go.
quick.
Aloha from Pacific Source, and thank you for your support over the years. Pacific Source has offered more of what builders and homeowners value most in building materials and cabinet design. We've done this by offering superior customer service and products, as well as by designing kitchens and baths that are intelligent and elegant while staying true to your vision and budget. Visit our showroom in Waikapu in Central Maui, where we display a variety of cabinets as well as top-name appliances like Sub-Zero, Wolf, Viking, KitchenAid, and more. We display countertops, tile and wood flooring, and several brands of windows and doors, including Fleetwood multi-slides and La Cantina folding doors. Come in and talk to our designers about making your dreams become a reality. From concept to completion, we really believe our attention to detail and superior service are what sets us apart. Let us show you what we mean. We are a Pacific Source at 515 East Oahe Way in the Consolidated Base Yard in Waikapu, just off Waiko Road. Call us at 986-0380. That's 986-0380, or look us up online at packsource.com.
And we are back. This is Maui Nonprofit Notes, the weekly radio show where we talk story about what's happening in the worlds that our nonprofits exist in, I should say. And we're talking with Michelle Blair, who is the Maui County Director, the Director for Maui County for the American Red Cross.
You got it.
Hawaii.
All right.
Whatever.
Good.
We get all those places in there. It's always, I guess it's fascinating, how folks like you jump in and are so willing to take on all this. I mean, that's an unbelievable load you're carrying.
It is a lot, but I share it. I share
share,
it.
there you
I'll share
go.
it with you
Oh, thank you.
if you wanted to. No, I have an awful lot of really dedicated volunteers committed to the mission of the Red Cross, which really is just to provide the care and the comfort, and hopefully a safe place to be if needed. So, we work together, and it does take a special kind of person to do the work that we do, whether it's deploying out to a hurricane or being on the ground ready to have one come where we live.
Now you had some folks that went to, where was it, just recently on the mainland to help with a disaster.
Oh gosh, I've got a mental health volunteer who's been all over this last year. She went out and helped in Guam and Saipan. She went to California. She was out on the East Coast. We've got a handful of volunteers that do a lot of that. I typically will go also. I haven't been out for about a year. But I like that because they get to experience different things. They get to see disaster and get to see the way it works from a different perspective, a different community, a different point of view. And then they bring that knowledge and that experience home, and that only makes us a stronger team.
Right. I would think that, we talked before the show about how many near misses we've had
Yeah.
with hurricanes and things. But do people react? Do your forces get stronger after an event
Definitely, yeah.
because they've done
definitely.
it?
Yeah, or that there are people in the community that look at the response and they see it from their perspective, and they're like, I could have made this better, or I would have made this decision, and I think I need to be involved. It can come that direction. It can come to, what, I was just sitting there waiting. Why not be doing something productively to help? And in our world, we look and we say there are two groups of people. There's the people who are the responders, and there are those we are responding to. And so it's a matter of which side do you want to be on. And there are a lot of people, like you, Susie, you have a full life. You have a job that's demanding. You have a home life. You have other things going on. And you may be thinking to yourself, I don't have the time to commit to Red Cross locally. I don't have the time to take the training and all of that. And you may be right on the day-to-day. But take out all non-essential businesses now closed. We've just been hit by a hurricane. What are you doing that day? Are you working? Are you doing your normal job? Or are you just now one of the, I hate to use the word victim, but are you just one of the victims of the disaster? And if you are, what happens to your mind at that point? Do you stay the victim, or do you just, receive services? Or do you say, enough of this sitting around, I can be helping, and come up and say, hey, Michelle or Mary, what can I do? What can I do to help? How can I help? And we call those event-based volunteers. Absolutely nothing wrong with that. It has to reach a certain level of disaster before we're allowed to say, hey, yeah, come on and work with us without, the training and that.
Right.
But that's entirely a possibility.
Interesting. Yeah, I think of, like, in our specific case, we've got 8 apartment buildings where we have tenants who would all need some assistance one way or the other because of the type of tenants that they are with mental or physical handicaps or challenges. And so during a time like this, that's even more scary. And we need to be in closer contact with them. And should one building get hit directly, that would be awful.
And again, Susie,
and
it comes
prepare
back to that planning on the front side of that. So if you've got people that have those special, let's just call it special needs, for lack of a better phrase right now, then if they know what they need, and if, in a typical sunny day that we have, take the time to go through what would happen, who would pick you up, do that level of planning,
Right.
Where would you go, what do you need to take with you, how are we going to make that happen? Then when that disaster happens, remember we talked about that spin.
Right.
They don't have to spin out of control and get so upset, even though it's going to be upsetting. At
Right.
least they'll have some of that plan worked out. Does that make sense?
It does. And I know that we've got, the plans for overall, but I'm thinking, as I'm listening to you, we need to dig down a little deeper and work with each individual a little bit more.
I think so. I think that's key. And I know that our volunteers, that people say, "What are you guys doing when there's not a disaster? It must just be a big cruise time." It's really not. No, because we're recruiting, we're training, we're developing, we're growing our teams. But we're also doing a lot of what we call community disaster education. And we're going out, whether it's the Hurricane Expo at the mall or it's another kind of event. I know Salvation Army has one or something in the schools. But we're teaching people exactly what we're talking about. Right. And it's, sometimes it's knowledge that people already have. It's just that reinforcing and just bringing that dialogue to the forefront of their mind so that they can start to work through some of the details.
I think the thing, and we have another cell phone. I think that the thing that would get to me the most would be to have something happen and know you could have maybe avoided it. by being prepared, by working with these folks and
Sure.
and having them in a little better frame of reference as to what's happening, what they need to do, what we can help them do, instead of everybody go, oh, we got to close the office because it's, we got a threat of a hurricane. Everybody goes home. It's like, no, we can't go home. We have to be sure that everybody is safe and
Right.
everybody's prepared.
So we talk a lot about
That's good.
storms. We talk a lot about being prepared for the hurricanes, for the tropical storms, but there are so many other kinds of disasters that could come our way. We've seen, like, I think it was back in January with the brush fire in Wailea. We opened up a shelter out in Kihei for that, but we also had another shelter in Kihei standing by along with a couple of shelters in central Maui, because what if
The
all
winds turn.
Yeah, and the winds were turning because we would get reports. It's moving north. No, wait, it's moving south. No, it's moving.
Yeah.
And it was just spinning. It seriously
Wow.
was. The winds were just, taking it and carrying it.
And luckily, it was far enough away from anything important to be
Yeah.
brought under control before it did.
And our fire guys, they're so good. I
Aren't
gotta
they?
say that.
Yeah.
I love those guys. They
Yeah.
they get it.
They do a wonderful job.
They really
and
do.
I think especially in Lahaina, it was last fall, yeah.
We saw it.
Over there when they jumped in, and I mean, we had one guy who used to represent one of the agencies here on the radio show, who lives in Lahaina, and he had tweeted out that he and his wife and child had run out of the house in the middle of the night with flaming embers landing in their yard, coming over their house. And it's like, oh my gosh, and you just wait to hear the next thing that he safely was someplace, and then that the house didn't burn, and you kind of go backwards from all of that. And but I can't imagine how scary that would be.
It was a really scary situation because we had the fire up Lahaina Luna Road. We had the fire coming Kaanapali Hillside, and then a report of fire up above the Civic Center. So that's pretty much, encompassing a good, solid population right there. But what was really, it was a hard summer, no doubt, but it was really good to see the way the Lahaina, the West Side community jumped in and started, providing food,
Right.
Organizing themselves to help with supply distribution and things. And, some of them I've had conversations with them, and they're, our people, they don't want to be Red Cross, and that's okay. Not everybody has to be Red Cross. And then I just want to go back to what I said before about sheltering. Red Cross is last resort. So by all means, if the community can sustain it for as long as they can, that's fantastic, and we're there to support. But there could come a point in time where those local resources have been diminished. There's nothing left, and Red Cross, I can pretty much promise you, is going to be the one that's going to be receiving those supplies first. So again, if it's all out, everything's down, everybody's out of everything, it is going to be the Red Cross that's going to be that last resort,
Right.
to
Wow.
help as much as we can. People shouldn't think it's going to save the day. It's not.
Right.
It's just some
Yeah.
help,
Don't be ill prepared because Red Cross is there to back you up.
Yeah, because we don't have all that much of anything. Yeah, but we do have
Yeah.
a lot of warm, lovely people with big hearts that are happy to help.
Mary, we didn't talk to you very much, but do you have any thoughts that Michelle hasn't shared with us yet?
We always need more volunteers. We
As
really
only
do.
a volunteer, honorary.
We do. I mean, when they come into the shelter, they know that it's a safe place. They know that, and a lot of times they say, we're going to come back and we're going to work with you folks. They really appreciate it.
Yeah.
And, we have fun, which it's not all work. We're very close. We're all very close, and we all help one another. There's not bosses or any of it. We work together.
Right.
And we do. We have lots of fun, as well as
We work hard.
we do. We work hard.
Right.
No doubt.
You know what the
Yeah.
job is, and you get it done.
Yes.
Cool.
Mary does need additional support, just throw in a little recruitment for
There we go.
volunteers. But logistics is a pretty big area, and it includes facilities, finding facilities, surveying facilities to, increase our capacity for shelter space. Mary takes care of the vehicle. It could be vehicles soon, I understand.
really?
But for
Okay.
right now, it's just one. She
Yeah,
manages,
I do see a truck pickup at your place every
Yeah.
once in a while
Yep.
when
she
you're in the midst
manages
of
all
something.
the
Yeah.
supplies and all the inventory, and then
Yeah.
we've got in-kind donations. So now, like when the grocery stores and the restaurants and people are sending food, diapers, things like that. That's all in-kind donation. And then we have this other area that's called unsolicited donation management, and that's for all those people that line up, blocks down the road because they really want to help and they have something to contribute, right? It takes that manpower to be able to collect those items,
Right.
sort the items, and then prepare those items for distribution. So there's a lot of logistics activity, all the way to if supplies are brought into the harbors or come in through the airport. We're going to need people to be picking up those supplies and getting them to storage or to a staging
they're
area.
needed,
Yeah, so we really do. All those big buffed out guys with the big trucks,
Yeah.
come on in. We need your help. Yeah, we really, really do.
Right.
Yeah.
And-
Wow.
And it's not like we work every day. We work, we do our thing maybe once a month, once every couple months. It's not something that you're going to give, 40 hours a week or 20 hours a week. It's just when we have little projects, we get our projects done, we get together, we do it
Right.
together, and we're done,
Gotcha.
But we're on call 24/7, 365.
So how do they find out how to volunteer?
They can call the office 244-0051, leave a message, or can go onto our website at redcross.org/Hawaii and fill out an application and follow the steps to become a volunteer. And we'd love that. We would really love that.
Yeah.
Wonderful. This is when I wish we had podcasts, because the excitement and the energy that these two are portraying here in what they do, and your love for doing it. I mean, you've got to be 150% behind this, or you couldn't do it.
Yeah, hard to sustain that kind of energy year after
right.
year after year, right? Yeah.
Thank you so much
Yeah.
for being here.
Thanks,
and
Susie.
Red Cross Month, just a token of our appreciation for what you do and what you do and what you do.
Awesome. Thanks,
Thank you,
Susie.
Susie.
Thank you, Mary.
Nice
Thank
to see
you,
you.
Michelle. And we're going to shift gears now and talk about homeownership. Hey, Cassandra Abdul, who's Executive Director of Nahalio Maui. How's life in the home building business? Do I want to ask that question?
It's exciting.
It's exciting. How many ways can I take that?
We're at the point, we've been working really hard trying to get our homes ready, and we have plans that have been approved for a while. We registered them so we can use them again in the future. We have building permits has gone through the permitting cycle, so it's ready for the contractor to pick those up. And we finally on Friday signed a contract
Yay!
to build 12 homes in Lahaina. So very exciting.
That's cool.
Yeah, and we're working to finalize our loan, and we want to get out there and break ground and start building those houses.
Now, are all these houses spoken for?
No, they are not.
Okay, so you don't do that up front because you don't know the final prices yet.
That's correct. Until we had this contract, we didn't have the final costs, and the contract doesn't cover all of the costs. There's some additional costs that we will have to put in there. So we need to know that before we actually set the final prices.
Right. Now, Nahalio Maui is affordable housing in perpetuity
That's correct.
because you will continue to own the property, the land.
Correct. We're a community land trust, so we hold the land in trust forever. We sell the houses with a 99-year lease, and our homeowners can renew for another 99 years at their option. We share some of the appreciation with them, so every homeowner that sells, and we've had 5 so far, they all leave with more cash than they came into our program with.
Okay.
You can leave it to your children, your heirs. They don't have to be income qualified. But correct. But if you are further out than, up and down your parents or your children, then they do have to be income qualified.
Okay.
And we also have our qualified buyer list, so we can help you with the sale, because we have people that are already ready and looking for homes.
Now, and I can't remember where I heard this, but I kind of shrugged my shoulders and said, I don't think that's right. Somebody said that the folks that you work with at Nahalio Maui, the people that qualify to buy your properties are people who are very involved with their community. They do a lot of volunteering. They have been a member of Nahalio Maui for some time. and a few things like that. I didn't remember hearing that before. Is that true?
We have a selection process.
Okay.
It's a blind process, so our board members don't know who the buyers are. But we have a number of different criteria. The first primary is that you're income qualified, that you're an adult, that you are either a citizen or you have a permanent green card. And then the secondary criteria starts to look at things like that. How involved have you been in your community?
Okay.
Things like that. So there are basically 9 different criteria,
Okay.
and everything counts. And then based on that, the committee makes their decision on who the primary buyer would be and a backup buyer. Although I believe once we had moved to a backup buyer very early on, but not since.
Oh, okay.
So they've been able to, they're qualified.
So the one thing I think I do remember you talking about was that you like to have people who are working in that area, if possible.
For the Lahaina project, that's one of the things we look at. We even look at the size of the family and the size of the house.
Right.
And especially for the Lahaina project, part of the county requirements for the original developer was that priority is given to people who either live or work in West Maui. But we do look at that, and most of our home buyers self-select anyway. For instance, when we had a house to resell in Kihei, there are many people that want to either live upcountry or in, West Maui or in Central Maui, so they don't apply.
They don't
They're not
apply.
interested in looking at the house there. So there's some of that also.
Right.
So we have a lot of people that want houses, but not necessarily in the area that we have the house available.
Right. I know when we were selling the Kihei houses that we did a few years ago, we had this couple that was very interested in buying. They qualified, everything looked good for them. And then they said at the last minute, they said, you know what, we just don't want to be in Kihei because we work in Lahaina. And our kids go to school at Lahaina Luna. And we just want to be closer to them.
Yes.
And as luck turned out, we had a property in our Lahaina project, which we had finished 10 years earlier, that came up on the market, and they were able to buy that one. So they spent the same money, basically, on a house, and got what they wanted, where they wanted, and we just had the homeowners annual meeting last week, I guess it was. And I mean, they're still beaming from ear to ear that
Yes.
they've got the house of their dreams, and it's in the right place, and you say, wow, it came together just perfectly for them.
And that's just amazing.
Yeah.
We've been really blessed, and our homeowners, and yours also,
Yeah.
in being able to do that.
We got to take another short break, and we'll be right back.
Aloha from Pacific Source, and thank you for your support over the years. Pacific Source has offered more of what builders and homeowners value most in building materials and cabinet design. We've done this by offering superior customer service and products, as well as by designing kitchens and baths that are intelligent and elegant while staying true to your vision and budget. Visit our showroom in Waikapu in Central Maui, where we display a variety of cabinets as well as top-name appliances like Sub-Zero, Wolf, Viking, KitchenAid, and more. We display countertops, tile and wood flooring, and several brands of windows and doors, including Fleetwood multi-slides and La Cantina folding doors. Come in and talk to our designers about making your dreams become a reality. From concept to completion, we really believe our attention to detail and superior service are what sets us apart. Let us show you what we mean. We are a Pacific Source at 515 East Oahe Way in the Consolidated Base Yard in Waikapu, just off Waiko Road. Call us at 986-0380. That's 986-0380, or look us up online at packsource.com.
That wasn't one of your properties originally.
So how many?
Hi, you heard that, didn't you? Oh, we're on the air. We're back.
Surprise.
This is Maui Nonprofit Notes. Sometimes that break is so short, we just get started asking a couple questions, and then we're back on the air. And then I don't know what the answer is going to be if I ask this question now. So do I ask it or don't I? But anyway, so we were talking about your project you've got going right now, and that's Kahoma in Lahaina.
Yes.
Right? Again, we were over there the other night for our homeowners annual homeowners meeting, and we're right across the stream from that. And so we drove up through there, and I looked at those lots, and I thought, gotta get those houses built. because you're right at the kind of the entrance of that.
Yes.
That subdivision has what, 60 some homes in it or so?
Correct.
And Habitat for Humanity has what, 10?
10.
And you have 12.
We have 12.
And then the rest of them are the upper scale of the A
They go
line.
up to 160% of AMI.
Yeah. So some of those homes are big and interesting to drive up that street and see, because some of them have been there a while now.
Correct. And Habitat has started building theirs.
Right.
And we're hopeful that we're going to get started on ours also.
Right. Yeah, Habitat's got the 5 on one side of the street are all framed and are starting to do some of the finish work. And the other side of the street, they've got they've got the concrete block for the what is that, footing? Not
Post and
footings.
pier.
Post and pier, right. So yeah, they're moving right along. But now they pick their families right away because they have to help build them.
Correct.
Now you don't do that.
No, we don't. We prefer to have the house completed before we sell them. It's easier for people to see the house when it's built,
Right.
rather than trying to figure out what those plans mean on a flat piece of paper.
Right.
And at this point, we're still looking at that.
Gotcha. Okay.
And the lender we've worked with will not require us to pre-sell.
Oh, okay. That's always good. Yeah, we didn't have to do
Right,
that.
right.
Well, we had to basically show that they had a letter of commitment from their lender, for the amount that we were approximating.
Right.
But that was kind of it. That they
It's a
qualified.
challenge, though, for us not to go out and start buying furniture and all kinds of things that could have an impact on your loan right there at the end. So, we always have to counsel our homeowners to be very conservative. Don't buy anything until you close, please.
Right. Right. Yeah. Look a lot, but don't buy.
Exactly.
Good point. Yeah. Very good point. Now you've got a home buyer seminar coming up.
We do at the end of this month, and we have over 80 people that have signed up
Oh
for
my
it.
goodness.
And we have a waiting list.
Oh wow.
Yes. So this is our free seminar. It's the start of our 4-step process. And it takes about a little over an hour. We have someone from one of the lenders come in and talk about financing. Credit, savings, jobs, things like that home buyers need to know about. Unfortunately, we don't learn that in school.
Yeah. Right.
There's no financial education for us. So this is just a wonderful knowledge that people need. And it's a start. So you learn a little bit about it, and you learn about our process. And again, we are leasehold, which is not for everybody. That's not everybody's cup of tea. Not one size that fits all. And then if they are interested in pursuing that, then they go to an 8-hour HUD-approved class about financing, about home ownership, which is a wonderful thing that I would love to see us start in our high schools or intermediate school. And then they get a pre-qualification letter from a lender of their choice. And then they come in and sit down with our housing coordinator and actually go over our ground lease so they understand exactly what they're getting into. And then they're on our qualified buyer list.
Right.
Once you're there, you get notified whenever a house is up for sale.
Now that doesn't guarantee you a house.
No.
That just puts you on the list and gives you a chance.
It's an opportunity.
Okay.
And I also wanted to mention that we just received a house from the County of Maui. And that was a house where it was sold under a deed restriction for 10 years. If the homeowner wanted to sell, they had to offer it back to the county. And I'm just thrilled to be able to tell you that the county exercised their option and bought back the house. And to my knowledge, and I've only been here for 3 years, 3.5 years with Nahale, it's never happened before.
I'm not aware of it.
So this is wonderful. And then the house was granted to Nahale Maui. That means we took a house that would have been affordable for maybe the next 7 years. It's now going to be affordable forever.
Right.
So we did some freshening up. We replaced the carpet. We painted inside and out. We put in a brand new stove, microwave hood, brand new refrigerator, freshened up the house itself, did whatever needed to be done. And now it's under contract with a family of 5.
Wow.
And they are in escrow, and we expect them to be able to move in at the end of end of April.
Wow.
So
Now-
our family's growing.
And you get to retain the proceeds to go for another house.
That's right. So we will invest it into the next property.
And that was the deal from the county, that you continue to
Yes.
use that rather than turning the money back to the
Right.
county. You use it,
And that's how we've grown to 34 homes.
right?
We were funded basically for half of that. And we've been able to double the number of homes we have with the proceeds coming out of the sale.
That's fabulous.
Yeah.
Wow. Now, you mentioned early on that since this is leasehold, it's not for everyone. The major difference is basically that you don't own the land, so you don't actually get any appreciation from the value of the land.
Correct. But you also don't have to pay for the land in your mortgage. So you're not really invested in the land. And there is a lease rent, but it's $45 a month. It has nothing to do with the value of the land, no rate of return. That's a subsidized value. And it increases every 5 years, but only by consumer price index, so inflation. And again, we share the appreciation on the portion that the homeowner is invested in.
Okay. And there's no chance that you're going to pull a Bishop estate. All of a sudden, you got to buy your land.
No. In fact, if Nahaleo Maui, which we never plan on going away, but if we did, we would offer our land to a nonprofit like Lokahi Pacific or Habitat or some organization that has a similar mission. If the organization did not take it back, then it would be offered to the county, and only if the county then didn't take it back would it be offered to the homeowner.
Ah, I see. Okay.
But we have, you plan for the worst and
Right.
you hope for the best, and we have everything thought out so we know what we would do in that event.
Interesting.
We just hope we never get there, and we're working hard not to.
Yeah, right. We don't want you to get there. Now, and for the owner, what do they feel? I mean, I know we had some people who said, do we buy the land? And we said yes. And they said, oh, good. And I'm going, do you really know why you're saying, oh, good? Because what's the difference? Because they can do anything they want on the land as long as it's related to the house.
Mm-hmm. And nobody else can use the land.
Right.
It's under their house.
And it's they don't have to come to you if they want to build a wall on the land, or if they want to extend the garage or something.
They do need our approval if they need a permit. We need to know about
Oh,
it.
okay.
And then we also have certain things. If you had a smaller house, your family's growing, you need more space, and you wanted to add on to the square footage of the house, or if you wanted to put in a photovoltaic system, there are certain things that we will approve, and we will actually credit the homeowner half the value of the improvement for an expansion. On equipment, we give them half the value, but it diminishes over 15 years
Right.
because over time equipment
Sure.
doesn't last.
Right.
Right. So, so if you sell during that period, then you would get the additional benefit from that
Okay.
credit.
Gotcha.
Let's say yes.
Okay. Interesting.
Mm-hmm. And our shared appreciation starts at 25% in the first year that you buy, although there's not going to be any appreciation.
Right.
And from the 5th year, it goes up 2.5% a year. 15 years, it's at 50%. It caps there.
I see. Okay. Interesting. So, like you said, the 5 homes that you've resold, that have been resold, the buyer or the owners got a significant amount of money to show that they were invested in it.
That's right. And 2 or 3 of our homeowners actually went into market rate homes.
Oh, did they really? Wow.
Yes. So you're not trapped here forever. It's not like, this is low or moderate income and you can never advance.
Right.
You can. We've seen it on the mainland, I think, where there are about 250 community land trusts. There's a certain percentage, and I'm not sure if it's only 3%, but some of those homeowners go up into the market. And here we have 5 resales, and 2 or 3 of them have gone to market rate homes.
Interesting.
So, it's working here.
Yeah,
Uh-huh.
that's great.
It
Now,
is, and the house resells at an affordable price.
Right. That's the best part.
Yeah.
What are there other community land trusts that operate like you here in the state?
We have been approached by a number of entities on different islands on Kauai, Oahu, and the Big Island, interested in becoming Community Land Trust. But our charter is for Maui County, and we're not able to oversee and control on other islands. So what we've done is shared all of our information with them, even our documents, our applications to the IRS. And so now there is a new Community Land Trust on the Big Island, and they are, I believe the Kauai has incorporated, and one of the entities on Oahu is moving forward also.
Wow. So it's catching on.
It's catching on because they can see that it actually works.
Right.
Yes.
So when you say the beauty to the buyer is that they're not buying the land, so if a house would normally sell for, well, I think you mentioned one earlier that had an appraised value of $600,000, without having to buy the land, you're able to sell the house in the 300s.
That's right. We sold a house valued, appraised, fee simple, at about $660,000. It's under contract at $385,000. The other thing that's marvelous about that, besides the fact that it's a reasonable and affordable price, is that the difference between the appraised fee simple value and the sale price is more than 20%. There's no additional cost on your mortgage for the PMI, the private mortgage insurance. And that can run $400 or $500 or more a month.
Interesting.
So yes, so they're
It's a win-win.
It really is, and it immediately cuts a family's housing cost, which translates into a lower cost of living for
Right,
them.
right.
And that frees up money for them to, buy nutritious food, save for education, save for their retirement, go to the doctor,
Right.
get the medicine that you need, and not have to juggle all of
Yeah.
that expense.
You mentioned earlier that for your home buyer seminar, you've got 80 people signed up and a
Yes.
wait list besides. Is that one of the highest numbers you've had?
No.
Oh, it's not.
No, we routinely have pretty high numbers.
Wow.
Sometimes they're half that size, which is actually easier to
Yeah.
talk to people.
Yeah, right.
But we have our seminars scheduled at least quarterly during the
Okay.
year. I think that the other reason that it's large right now is Kahoma is coming up.
Right. Okay.
Yes, and those are people that are
They still
very
have a chance.
interested. Yes.
Gotcha. We got to run. Thank you, Cassandra, for being here today. Cassandra Abdul, who is the Executive Director of Nahaleo Maui.
Thank you,
and
Susie.
good luck on Kahoma. Maui Nonprofit Notes is sponsored as a community service by Pacific Source, the builder's choice. Please give them a call at 986-0380 or stop by their showroom in the Waikapu Bayshard on East Oahe Way to see how they can help you with your building project. Pacific Source has been our sponsor from day one, and we thank them for their ongoing support. And to you, our listeners, we thank you for the response our agencies get from you regarding the activities talked about on this program. Oh boy, this has been a whirlwind. I feel like we've been through a tornado, or no, we don't have tornadoes here. Hurricanes, fires, and all kinds of things. And we've built wonderful houses and sold them at great prices. What a day. Isn't that something? And now the music begins. What's that? Give me a minute to go? Okay.
50 seconds now.
Oh, so don't slow down. Keep going. So we talked to the Red Cross and we talked to Nahaleo Maui and got an update on what they were doing. If you heard anything that you'd like to learn more about, please check on our website at mauinonprofit.org and click on their name in our listing of members and see what they have to offer and how you can help them. We want to thank you for tuning in, and don't forget to join us again next week, right here, same time, same place, when we'll feature representatives of 2 other member agencies of the Maui Nonprofit Directors Association. Until then, I'm Susie Tiemann, Executive Director of Lokahi Pacific, and your host. Thanks for joining us, everyone. Have a great week.
Aloha.
Aloha.